What's good? What's good? What's good? What's good there, guys? Welcome back to another weekly market forecast. We're gonna get into some analysis on gold. So, a couple of things I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna kind of give you guys context as to obviously what's going on the chart, what the price action is obviously telling us, and then obviously we're gonna get down to some conclusions like what is our plan, how do we plan to respond, obviously depending on what the structure is like. So anyway, the most obvious thing on a daily on a higher time frame is obviously we've got some momentum to the downside, this momentum over here on our left hand side over there, and we've got a corrective structure, or what seems to be a corrective structure in the middle. Now we do have a nice momentum shift over there, also right, nice round number 5,000 over there obviously on the price scale, and we do have a resistance. So we know on a higher time frame what we're expecting is maybe some type of impulse correction impulse, where this is the impulse, we've got a correction, we've got one high over there, we bang that high, and then obviously maybe some momentum to grab some sort of a low or whatever the case is. So on a higher time frame, we do have some sort of a narrative obviously to take advantage of a short position, but as you guys can see, it's going to take it's going to require a lot of patience obviously for us to wait for price action to get to that resistance. Now another thing on a daily, or at least if we just speak about the most recent price action over there, what I do have going on is, in my understanding at least, price action is inside some sort of a range. So obviously we made a move to the upside, we created a high, we came down, we created a low. If you guys can see, or obviously if we just take a look at, let's just erase this, if we just take a look at the high, obviously we can see that this first high over here, price action violated the high, broke back below, we broke and closed above, came back, broke and closed below. So obviously this is the high that price is being corrective around, and this low over there, obviously we broke and closed below, broke and closed back above, so obviously price action is being corrective around this low over here. So generally we are moving sideways, but on a 4 hour, price action does become a excuse me, price action does become a little bit more clear, obviously giving us a little bit more context there. Now another thing to add, yes, so point number one on a daily is that we are generally ranging, we are moving sideways, and where we are right now is obviously we are approaching the high of this range. And obviously day before yesterday, or Thursday's candlestick, did show some sort of a rejection. So we do know that there is someone somewhere on this planet that is okay selling gold at or around where price action is right now. So we're okay on a short, based off the fact that we're on the or approaching the high of the range. Now let's drop down to a 4 hour, because things get a lot more interesting the lower we go. So on a 4 hour, the context that I've got going on here, we have already spoken about obviously the high of the range over there. Now if we want to be looking at a trading opportunity at least towards the high of the range, what we want to try and do is at least find that opportunity above a resistance, or at some sort of a resistance. So obviously looking left, that's the only resistance we got going on over there. What I do have on a smaller time frame is some momentum shifts. Obviously those are the positions from last week that we've got going on there, so obviously we'll speak about them on a smaller time frame. So to speak about the short position, the short trading opportunities that we might be getting into over the course of next week, obviously we just mentioned that we want to get in after resistance. So what I would be hoping for is that price is obviously at the high of the range now, we create some sort of a ascending structure, obviously we slow down, we tap into one of those entries that we've got going on there at the high of the range, and then we obviously make our way down to the low of the range. Now why would I be expecting price action to be going towards the downside when, let me give you additional context, because we haven't spoken about a buy yet, we're only speaking about a short. Now why am I expecting price action to still be going to the downside when still, okay, we're gonna have to speak about the buy now, when obviously price action has shown us a lot of momentum to the upside? Because if we do look at price action on a 4 hour and we draw this imaginary resistance over there, what we can see is that obviously price action did break nice and impulsively. I will obviously zoom in when we do speak about the buy, but I'm just saying this just because of I want to explain the sell and how the overall structure is obviously developing and becoming a lot more clear for us. So let me undo all of this. Let's do this. So what I'd like to just point out there is obviously we are breaking correctively to the downside. What I can do to make the structure a little bit more clear is I can add a trend line. So obviously connecting these lows over there. And what we do see emerging is some sort of a corrective structure that maybe we can at some point in the future, once we get a confirmed high where price action is right now, somewhere over here, what we can do is obviously we can connect a trend line there and we can expect maybe some sort of a corrective structure that then comes down to give us that buy that we had obviously last week, and then sends us over there to then complete whatever higher time frame structure we were speaking about when we were on the daily. Can you see how our overall narratives are then starting to connect and combine, and the structure is becoming a little bit more clear as time is going on? And obviously we're accommodating for the fact that we are in a range, we are moving sideways. If you look generally at what we've got going on here, we still are obviously trading with the context that we are in a range. We can find both buying opportunities and selling opportunities. So now that we've got all of that going on there, that you guys are clued up over there, we can then obviously start to speak about buying opportunities. So obviously the first buying opportunity that I've got going on there is the one from last week. We were expecting price action obviously from here to then tap us in and then move to the upside, and she was a little bit quick on her ascent. So obviously our zone is still valid over there for price action to come back down to. So what I will be expecting is maybe price action will come down, violate that low. If she does, then obviously we have a nice third tap of our support trend line there that gives us a beautiful trading opportunity to the upside. So that's our first opportunity. I will obviously give you guys the entries, stops and targets over on Instagram. Obviously I just wait for the market to open, then I'll tell you guys exactly which orders I have open for the week and where they are. So obviously yeah, just wait for that on Instagram. Anyway, let's undo this. There we go. So that's our first buying opportunity over there, obviously, that we've got going on there from last week. Now we want to speak about the most recent stuff that's going on there. Now I did obviously make you guys see that we can draw in an imaginary trend line over here, and then obviously we can see that price action has broken out of this somewhat descending structure nice and impulsively. So obviously what we can be waiting for on a smaller time frame is some sort of a correction that pulls back and then obviously gives us an opportunity to trade in the direction of now this new momentum that we have going on inside of there. Now let's drop down to a 1 hour so that we can speak about these buy opportunities and then round up our analysis. So on an hourly, we, I guess, already spoke about the fact that we've broken out of this trend line nice and impulsively. We do know that on a smaller time frame, on a 15-minute, we have two opportunities inside of there to trade. Obviously, we're expecting that maybe price action is doing something like, or this would be our hope, that we're creating some sort of an ascending structure and we just tap into. Okay, time to get up and go to work. Anyway, I'm doing this analysis before I go to work. Nice Sunday morning ritual there. Prepare the brain. Anyway, back to the analysis. Just got sidetracked there. So anyway, this is what I was expecting over there. Obviously, downside price action above our resistance trend line over there. Let's undo this. Cool. Speaking about the buy. Now, what I would obviously hope for is for the sell opportunity to come first, tap us in there, and then obviously send price action down. Now, on a smaller time frame, I obviously do have some zones that I am looking for over there. We'll speak about them. Let's just go down straight to a 15 because all of our trading opportunities that we've been speaking about are on a 15 or are obvious to us on a 15. So the two zones that I do have from last week over there, obviously we did have our sell opportunities. We still have those two trading opportunities over there. What we can add is this new buy. So down on a 15, obviously you guys can see we've got a momentum shift over there. There is also a momentum shift right here. Let's also just add it in just so that you guys can see it. There we go. That is also a momentum shift there. I am a little bit worried about this momentum shift. Obviously, if the buyer is hot, if their hands are heavy, we also do have a previous resistance over there, and they do want to continue the momentum very much aggressively, yes, then they can obviously buy from this momentum shift over there. But for me, this doesn't really give me a lot of value. Obviously, the risk to reward still does make sense if we buy from here to the towards the resistance. But I would be hoping for a much deeper pullback, obviously, to give me a little bit more value on the buy. In terms of just looking at this impulsive move, I at least want price action to come below halfway for price action to be in value territory. So yeah, okay, staying on a 15, we did mention these two sell trading opportunities. So our entry stops and targets are still the same as we did have them last week. There they are, on our right hand side. And the targets have obviously changed. Now we're going to be targeting 4,600. Obviously, we don't want to go below 4,600 because of the potential of this first buy over here. So speaking about the buy, I will obviously give you guys the exact entry stops and targets, but what the buy will be looking like is something like this, where we will be entering obviously above the high of that zone, stops below the low of the zone, and then obviously we will be looking to target the high of the range. Let me just go up a couple of time frames over there. Oopsie, so we can only see that on a 15. Okay, there we go. Obviously we had that momentum shift over there, and we will be looking obviously maybe just to target the high of this range or the high of that range over there. So you obviously decide. Maybe this makes a little bit more sense. That's going to be our first buying opportunity, and obviously you guys know that we do have one a little bit down low. So in terms of the buys, very simple enough. What we would hope for is maybe for a sell first, because you guys do know we have a sell over there to tap us in over there. If this doesn't follow through, then you guys know we do have something down low that we can look for over there for a nice buying opportunity. So that basically looks like our week in a nutshell. I will be obviously sending you guys our entry stops, targets, all of that stuff on Instagram once the market opens. For now, that's my entire breakdown of the market. We're at resistance now. It does make sense for us to be looking for selling opportunities, obviously at the high of this range over here, and then at the same time it does make sense for us to be looking for buying opportunities once we start to approach the low of this range, hence our opportunities obviously to buy on smaller time frames there. If we do manage to break below this low over here, then you guys know that our higher time frame context is in play, and that maybe price action is giving us a larger overall corrective structure like this, obviously just to make its ascent all the way to this resistance over here, where we will obviously be looking for that higher time frame short. So that's my overall context, guys. I think I've broken down to you guys exactly what my entire understanding of this price action on gold is for obviously with what we've got on our chart for now. All we've got to do next is obviously just wait for price action to, or for the market to open, and then respond based off what price action does, and then we know what our plan is right now based off current structure. So otherwise, that was our weekly market forecast. I hope you guys enjoyed the analysis, and I hope you guys got some value. Do like, do subscribe, and obviously follow along on Instagram for the weekly, during the week updates. I don't know what you would call that, but anyway, cheers.